Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 27th day. Got a great show with you for tonight. Running a little bit behind, but either way, going to talk about Travis Kelce, the Kansas City Chiefs, basically. Check that. I'm going to talk a lot about the Chiefs tonight. Rashid Rice suspended for the first 6 games, but they got Josh Simmons back. They got this left tackle, Josh Simmons. That's the bigger news. And of course, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, they're engaged. Going to talk about that. Going to talk about the Chiefs. Going to talk about the AFC West. I'm going to preview the AFC West. I'm going to pick each team in the AFC West. Also, what did Deion say after? What did Deion say after Shiloh Sanders was released? And of course, Shador's the number 3. He's behind Dylan Gabriel, player on the depth chart. Going to talk about that and more. Stand by. We'll take our first and only break. I'll be back here momentarily. We'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then. I wanted to thank Carlos last week, folks. Sorry, I'm getting situated here, and it's just not. I've tried to do too much stuff in a short period of time, and you can see my green screen's a little jacked up, but I'm getting situated now. But anyways, I want to thank Carlos for inviting me up to Clarksville, Tennessee on Saturday. We did the live show there. I gave a college football preview, and I tell you what, folks, we did not, and for those of you who've been watching this show for a number of years, we did not come together and both pick Clemson like that. That was just a wild coincidence. As a matter of fact, I always like to compete against Carlos, the Mad New Yorker, in situations like that so I can get a one-up on him. And he wants to do the same against me. Of course, he wants to beat me, and head-to-head, we both actually excuse me, pick Clemson to win the national championship. I have Clemson over Penn State. The Mad New Yorker has Clemson over Oregon. And, of course, your Georgias of the world's got a great shot. Texas has a very good shot to win the national championship. Penn State, very good shot to win the championship. Of course, we put in the entire list to check that show out. I apologize about the sound on that. I've been having a lot of bad sound issues here lately, but it was a fun time. Great restaurant up there, Mexican restaurant up there in the Clarksville, Tennessee area. Going to try to do more stuff like that. But anyways, today's show, wanting to get into the NFL. I wanted to do two divisions, but of course I got off to a late start. I was doing a little Uber on the way home and just got behind time. Didn't even get a chance to eat any dinner, which I'll eat when I get done talking to you guys here on tonight's program. I didn't miss a call. Michael, I'll try to give you a call back later, Mr. Limbaugh there. I know he's a friend of mine from church is calling me. But anyways, a lot of big news today. Trey Henderson from Cincinnati. That is huge, by the way. Trey Henderson from Cincinnati signed that 1-year deal. Since the last time I've talked to you all, I think he got like a $16 million a year raise or whatever. I can't figure out the logistics of it, but basically he's there for 1 year. He's there with Cincinnati for 1 year. He's back on the practice field. We got about 2 weeks to go. Well, technically less than that, about next Sunday, I want to say 10, 11 days. The Bengals will be starting their season. They open up against Cleveland. So week and a half ago, they got Shamir Stewart. Remember, there was an issue with his contract and the guaranteed money. The Texas A&M player, edge rusher. By the way, the footage that I've seen of Stewart in camp looks good. He looks like a guy that's going to make it, pushing off players there in camp. Remember, they've got the new defensive coordinator, Al Golden, there from Notre Dame. And, of course, they've got Trey Henderson in camp with Shamir Stewart. I may pick this team to go pretty far. Cincinnati looks like a potential Super Bowl team. You see how the narrative can change when you get certain players in there and you get players that are healthy. You see how the narrative can change. My perspective of Cincinnati has changed in 24 hours. I don't know about you. Now, what if Trey Henderson comes in? He's severely out of shape. He has an injury that sets him back all season. That's possible. Maybe he plays himself in shape and he's like Nick Bosa, probably not feeling like himself to week 4, week 5. That's also possible with the Shamir Stewart. But I do expect this team to play really well. I wanted to get that out of the way before I start on this Rashee Rice. Of course, we talked about it. I've talked about this with the Mad New Yorker. Since this happened a couple years ago now, folks. Remember, this was not last year. This was, I want to say this was the year before. Rashee Rice has, he was involved with that hit and run accident. He was caught on camera from some cell phone camera that leaked, that was posted to the to social media. Of him walking away from an accident where he was involved in street racing and whatnot. Got in trouble last year with in Dallas there. I want to say he's actually got sentenced to some jail time that he's going to have to complete 30 days in a certain period of time. He can do that the weekends. He can do it in the off season. I don't know how he's going to do that. But either way, he got that. That was the legal side of it. Now Rice is getting he's not going to appeal it, according to Diana Rossini with The Athletic. He is suspended for 6 games. Okay? And you look at that, you look at the fact that this Kansas City Chiefs team is a team that's coming off a Super Bowl loss. A lot of people, myself included, knowing this suspension was coming, looking at the fact that Joe Thuney is now with the Chicago Bears, one of their best interior linemen, and you look at the fact they drafted Josh Simmons going back to April, first-round pick out of Ohio State. You think this is not looking good. But now that I've looked at this roster, and listen, I told my friend Devon at work today. Devon is from Cincinnati area, big Chiefs hater. A lot of people I'll talk to about Uber riders or whatever, they don't like the Chiefs. It's getting like the Patriots fatigue, okay? And they want to see the Chiefs lose. Well, the truth of the matter is the Chiefs look pretty good. You know, I read that this Josh Simmons is no longer listed on the injury report. Remember, he got hurt last year at Ohio State. He got a patellar tendon tear. I know I'm butchering that word. I'm not a doctor. I can't pronounce all these medical terms. But he got this tear at Ohio State last year, and he ends up dropping. This guy was perceived at one point to be an early first-round pick, drops all the way down to 31 to the Kansas City Chiefs. Sometimes you got to be lucky. success, there's a little bit of luck that plays into that. And I'm listening to guys like former offensive lineman Mark Schlereth, analyst there, Mark Schlereth for Fox, but also 3-time Super Bowl winner, offensive lineman there. Played with Denver, also played with the Washington Redskins back in the early 90s. And he's saying, listen, this guy's great. This guy's really good. And this guy's out of Denver. He's pro Denver all the way, right? Works Denver radio with the Broncos and whatnot. But Schlereth is saying, listen, this is a very good pickup for the Kansas City Chiefs here, okay? And he's not even lit. He's going to be playing in week 1. He's no longer injured. He's totally got past that injury. You look at the fact that they got him and guys like Louis Riddick, analyst there. I want to say Riddick used to be working the front office there, also with ESPN, also saying Simmons is a very, very good pickup there for the Kansas City Chiefs, okay? Not to mention the fact that you said, well, he's a rookie, Robert. What do you expect? He's a left tackle. This is not going to be good for Patrick Mahomes. Do I mind you, folks? Tristan Wirfs, former first-round pick to the Tampa Bay Bucks, was moved over quickly to left tackle with Tampa Bay. Turned out to be a great fit there in 2020. They went on and won the freaking Super Bowl. Yes, the Tampa Bay Bucks won the Super Bowl with a rookie left tackle. This is not like quarterback. It's not like quarterback where you can simply say, okay, well, hey, man, no rookie quarterbacks never led a team to win the Super Bowl. Not the same case with the left tackle. It is a very important position there. I do think that this team is going to be much better than I originally thought they would be. Listen, Chiefs haters, we went through this practically 20 years, folks, with the New England Patriots, where you want to write them off every single year because it's Patriot fatigue. I get it, but to beat the man, you got to beat the man. And yeah, they got humiliated in the Super Bowl against the Philadelphia Eagles. Rightfully so. Eagles played great that game. But that being said, same thing with the Patriots. Patriots went 10 years without winning a Super Bowl. But that don't mean that during those 10 years they didn't dominate the AFC East. A lot of 14-2 years there. Getting to the Super Bowl, losing close ones to the New York Giants there during that 10-year period. So it is what it is. I think they're going to be a pretty freaking good team, folks. I'm sorry to mention this to you all. Let me go ahead and go to my Kansas City Chiefs page. But listen, get back to that Chiefs offensive line. I mean, they signed Trey Smith in the offseason. Very good guard. Much better player at the guard position there. Got him a guard. Creed Humphrey, still got him at center, one of the best centers in the game right now. Arguably the best center. And, of course, you got Jawan Taylor, got him back at right. Much better fit there at right tackle there. And, of course, they did put in an unknown player there at the guard position. That being said, this is still a pretty good team. Some would say they're simply this Mike Calindo. I've never heard of him at left guard. That being said, they still have, and I understand, well, back to Rashid Rice. I know he's suspended for 6 games. And Xavier Worthy, he's coming into year 2. The game is going to slow down. He had a good year 1, one of the fastest guys in the NFL. He's coming into year 2 there for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's going to be a much bigger part of this offense there, folks. Xavier Worthy, you still got Hollywood Brown, questionable. I expect him to play. I expect Hollywood Brown to play. Juju Smith-Schuster at slot. This is a pretty good receiving core here. Now, Travis Kelce, is he past his prime and pretty much washed? Pretty much. I would say so. That being said, you still got Noah Gray. there. And I did make a note here about this fourth rounder. I'm hearing a little bit of buzz about Jalen Royals, fourth rounder out of Utah State there. Not to mention the defensive side of the ball with Nick Bolton there at linebacker. I thought they was going to let Bolton go, but they signed him to an extension there along with George Karlaftis at the edge rusher. He was also extended. Steve Spagnuolo, best defensive coordinator in the game right now, still calling that defense, folks. Listen, it is what it is. I need to. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sorry about that, folks. I accidentally hit moving some stuff around here, and this desk here is so much smaller than my other place, and I'm still adapting and overcoming here. But slowly but surely in this new apartment here, I'm getting squared away. Let me go to talk about this Chiefs team before I forget it. Okay. All right. Now, so listen, that's the bad news. A lot of you just don't like the Chiefs. I get it. But again, I'm not here to tell people what I think they want to hear, other than the Kansas City Chiefs fans will love what I'm about to say. I'm here to tell you what I really think. I don't think they'll get back to the Super Bowl per se, but I'm telling you right now, I think this Chiefs team will win the AFC West, okay? Looking over their schedule, I mean, I got them winning the opening week against the LA Chargers. I don't think they're going to go 15 or 16 or 15-2 or something like that in the regular season like they did last year, and could have win potentially go 16-1. I don't think that's the case. You know, they're over and under here, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go to that. Go to my little cliff notes here and whatnot. I want to say it's at 11-6. I want to say that their over and under is at 11-6, but I have to go back to my notes here. Just kind of bear with me, folks. Bear with the bear. The Chiefs here, 11.5. Their over and under is 11.5. I actually got them winning anywhere from 12 to 13 games, probably closer to 13-4 per se. I got them losing Philadelphia in week 2, Detroit on October 12th at Buffalo. Buffalo's coming off a bye November 2nd. I got them losing at home to Denver on Christmas Day. And like I said, that's 3, potentially 4-loss team here. Listen, it just is what it is, folks. They're the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to get right back after 6 weeks, but I do think that they're going to have enough with this receiving core, and I actually think they may have an upgrade there at left tackle with Josh Simmons. So, telling you right now, got them finished first in the AFC West. But let's stay in this division while we're talking about it. Let's stay in this division. I wanted to do 2 divisions, but I couldn't do it because I just ran out of time. I just simply ran out of time. No particular order here, but since I'm turning the page here to the Raiders just previewing transition right from the Rashid Rice, right in the Chiefs preview, right into the I started to say Oakland Raiders, right? LA, Vegas Raiders. LA, Oakland, Vegas. But technically it was Oakland, Oakland, LA, back to Oakland, now to Vegas. But anyways, the Raiders, yeah, hey, listen, they had a pretty good offseason. All right, you got Pete Carroll there now, still plenty left in the tank as a coach after taking a year off. They hired Chip Kelly, former offensive coordinator for the Ohio State. Remember, he also used to be the head coach there of the Philadelphia Eagles a few years back. And of course, he was the UCLA head coach there for a minute. But biggest move was obviously Pete Carroll bringing in Geno Smith at quarterback. Got a little bit more stability over a guy like an Aiden O'Connell, per se, you know. And of course, the big running back acquisition, Ashton Jeanty. And of course, they kept Max Crosby. Wasn't sure they was going to be able to do that at the end of the way the season ended last year, but it did. They got him. They're going to be a decent team there, this Raider team. They're going to be an interesting team. I've got them finishing 6-5 in last place there. The over and under for their win total was 6.5. But yeah, they're going to be an interesting team. They're a team, if you do not come all the way ready, that's like that with anybody in the NFL. But when you have a very good coach here, like a Pete Carroll. Think about this. You got Pete Carroll with the Raiders there, Super Bowl winning coach. You've got Andy Reid, multiple Super Bowl winning coach here. You've got Jim Harbaugh, Super Bowl appearance coach, national championship winner. And then you've got Sean Payton with Denver, Super Bowl winning coach. That's the toughest coach division in football right now, and it's not even close top to bottom here. So no easy outs there with this Raider team. You know, got guys like Brock Bowers. Could they potentially make a trade and get somebody? I think they got what did they get? Kenny Pickett here. Not in love with Kenny Pickett. The Cleveland traded for him. I thought maybe they'd trade for maybe a Shedeur Sanders. Talk about Sanders a little bit later. But anyways, Raiders there. Here's your first and last place team. Kansas City first place in the AFC West. Raiders, the way our guy from ESPN was saying. I can't remember his name now. It'll come to me a little bit later there. Oh, man. Anyways, okay. LA Chargers. Now, listen, Chargers were a trendy pick. This Charger team, very trendy pick to win the. And some people still may pick them. I'm not going to be one of those people. But you know, they did go. They lost their two starting wide receivers last year. Remember that? They lost Keenan Allen last year, and they lost Mike Williams. For cap issues, they had to move. They had some cap casualties. Got a new general manager, brought in Jim Harbaugh. And I keep forgetting, man, them dudes went 11-6 last year and went to the playoffs, played a good game earlier, thought they were going to go down there and beat Houston. Looked like they totally ran out of gas last year against Houston at the very end and got torched there. You could see that lack of firepower really did not was well. They really needed to upgrade that, which they did. They did. They actually brought back Keenan Allen. They brought back Keenan Allen. The big bugaboo from them. Really, really unfortunate. Rashid Slater, the left tackle there, got hurt in camp. He's out for the season now. But fortunately, they're going to move Joe Alt, which Tennessee wanted to take. They're going to move him from right to left, back to left, which is more of a natural position for him. Got Rashid Slater there, up there at the left tackle position there. So they're going to have that offensive line pretty squared away. And they picked up, obviously, they drafted Amar. They picked up Najee Harris as a free agent, the former Pittsburgh Steeler there. they got the former and Amarian Hamilton from the Marion Hamilton there out of the draft, our first round pick out of North Carolina. A very, very good between the tackles. It's kind of reminds me of a smaller version of Derrick Henry. Kind of reminds me of a smaller version of a Derrick Henry there. So I got a good feeling about this year's team, even though they did lose their best one of their best offensive linemen per se. But they picked up this Trey Harris here, second round pick out of Ole Miss. This guy had 60 catches, 7 touchdowns in the college game here out of Ole Miss here to match him up with Ladd McConkey and, of course, Keenan Allen. Of course, Allen's getting a little long in too. I think he's 34 or 35. Allen may simply be your third down wide receiver, but, hey, he's worked with Justin Herbert before. There's going to be some chemistry there. Basically got him back for nothing here. So this team's going to be very good defensively. They're going to run the ball. They're going to keep you off the field here. So I don't think there's a big drop-off. Now, this book here, I forgot the name of it, what it was, Athlon Sports. I did try to get the Libby's. I don't know what happened there. I couldn't get their magazine anywhere. But Athlon Sports has them finished in third in the division. I actually think they're going to finish second at 12-5. Going to be a strong wild card team here, per se. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. Like I said, they got Alt to move him over there to that left tackle position. Jim Harbaugh, I trust, is a very physical team. Jarwin James there, still pretty good. Would they get rid of Bosa? Joey Bosa there, who was hurt all the time last year anyways. Still not I do not think their defense is going to be horrible by no means. I just think that they're going to be off the field. I think they're going to be able to have more balance on the offensive side. And I think they're in for a pretty competitive season. I wish that wouldn't have happened with Rashawn Slater, but that's just part of the NFL. Everybody has injuries. It's survival of the fittest. It is battle of attrition, when you're going through a 17-game season. They couldn't have a better guy at this particular time then that was available than a Jim Harbaugh. So I still like them. Maybe they may actually finish 12-5, maybe 11-6, but I picked them to go 12-5 to finish second. To finish second in the division behind the Kansas City Chiefs. So, okay, so that leaves only one more team here, folks. One more team here to talk about in the AFC West. And before the season starts here, actually, I think we'll probably talking about football during next Thursday. Myself and Mad New Yorker will give our predictions. We will give our predictions for the Super Bowl and whatnot. He can give some playoff player sleepers or whatever. But anyways, Denver. All right. Now, I may be by myself on this, but I do think Denver slightly overachieved last year. Well, I noticed they overachieved. It's not slightly. I'm just saying they may have played above their pay grade enough where they may actually potentially take a step back this year. Sean Payton, I trust. Bo Nix, earning my trust. Played really well for a guy at his talent level. Played well in that system. Made it to the playoffs here. Gave Buffalo a little bit of a scare early in that game. And, of course, Buffalo pulled away in the second half there. And they have added some layers to that particular defense. And mainly those players are from the 49ers. But remember last year, folks, they had salary dead cap issues last year from the Russell Wilson debacle there, having to move off him after they gave him that massive contract extension, and they still made the playoffs. They finished 10-7 and made the playoffs. But remember, some of those games, they were totally like the game against Baltimore totally blew them out of the water last year, And Buffalo in the playoffs eventually blew them out. But that being said, they have added Hufanga, safety. He's been hurt, but safety from San Francisco and free agent. Also added San Francisco linebacker Drake Greenlaw, and they added this cornerback to help out with Surtain, who won Defensive Player of the Year last year, remaining defense. This J.D. Barron from Texas here. So that defense going to be rock solid. Running game, defense, looks good. But the problem is the league has a year film on Bo Nix, okay? The league does have a year film on Bo Nix here. I think this team will probably finish either from 11-6 to 10-7, right about the same. And they're only going to get better because that Russell Wilson money is eventually going to fall off of them, and they could make a real run there at a potential Super Bowl. Okay, that's going to happen here shortly. It's not going to happen this year per se, but it's going to happen shortly. So I've got them finishing third behind the Chiefs or behind the LA Chargers. Okay, so let's recap the AFC West. Okay. All right, so now you've got Kansas City in first place. A lot of people don't want to hear that, but I just mentioned they're going to be good at left tackle. Defense going to be rock solid. Overall, I think their receiving core is going to be good. They're going to get the ball downfield more. They're going to include Xavier Worthy more. Hollywood Brown's going to be back. And eventually, after 6 games, it's a 17. They're going to have 10 games with Rice. They're going to have 10 games with Rice. They'll have him back here, and they may make a move at the trade deadline and maybe get some help at tight end because of Travis Kelce is pretty much at the end of his road. In my opinion, he's pretty much washed, if you ask me. That being said, like I said, first place Kansas City. Second place, LA Chargers, even with the Rashawn Slater injury there. And then third place, like I said, 11-6, 10-7-ish, the Denver Broncos. And, of course, fourth place, 6-11, maybe 7 wins possibly for the Las Vegas Raiders. That doesn't mean these won't be a lot of one-score games, like field goal games, fun games to watch. When you got coaching like veteran quarterback, like a guy like Geno Smith, even if it's Geno Smith, and a Pete Carroll, and that running back, and that running game, they're going to be in some games, the Raiders. Remember, they pushed 2 years in a row. Well, 1 year they beat Kansas City in Kansas City. For some reason, the NFL loves to put Kansas City on Christmas Day. They'll be playing on Christmas Day again this year against Denver at home now, and I actually have Denver winning that game. So they almost lost last year. Kansas City, I'm talking about to Oakland. They did use the year before that, and this year I think they're going to play Denver, and I think Denver's going to beat them. Although I do have Denver finishing third in the division, Chiefs in first. So people can call me what you want. I'm an umpire. I call balls and strikes. I don't play on people's emotions. I call it exactly how I see it. Okay. While I'm talking Kansas City, I'll go ahead and get this out of the way. Travis Kelce, according to his father, got engaged got engaged. And of course, Taylor Swift let the world know. Him and Taylor Swift have got engaged. World's biggest pop star, superstar athlete, tight end. 1 point, best tight end in the game a few years ago. Probably not the case now, of course. I think the best tight end in the game may be Brock Bowers in his division, if you ask me right now. But big news, practically broke the internet yesterday. Now, what do you say? What do you think about that? If you look at this relationship, and I know a lot of people are really irritated with the camera zooming in on. I think they got better last year about that. I want to say they've been dating for about 2 years. The backstory I heard from Rachel Nichols, of all people, she was on the Colin Cowherd show, said that he called it out on a podcast. He wanted a chance to meet her and take her out for a date. She said, okay. And that happened a couple of years ago, dating for 2 years, marriage proposal, blah, blah, blah. But I think a lot of the skepticism, and going back to, I think the NFL's did good about not showing her go crazy after every big catch that Kelsey's made and showing her reaction. I think that they've been more disciplined about the TV networks, been disciplined about showing Swift in the booth there. I know a lot of the purists, diehards, they do not want to see Taylor Swift. They think it's annoying. Does it get on my nerves a little bit? Yeah, a little bit, but I don't really care about that per se. My thing about this is a lot of the criticisms for Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce is not enough public display of affection. I know she's kissed him before and everything. She went on this podcast, but she was also there to promote an album, whatever. I can see the criticisms of this looking like a business venture rather than being a actual true romance or love story and whatnot. And I have a little bit of insight on her, not a lot, but a lady I used to work with. I'm out of Nashville. She lives in Hendersonville, Tennessee. She lives about 20 minutes north of me when she's home. She's been sought around town with Travis Kelce. I want to say she was at a bowling alley at some event with Travis Kelce about 6-8 weeks ago. I was actually driving Uber for that event for around that area. It was, I don't know what it is. I think it's a tight end U thing that he did. But anyways, going back to this insight I just said, so I'm not getting too far off the rails. But a lady I work with, Kayla, my friend Kayla, a few years ago, like 2016, 2017, she was telling me that her husband is a physical trainer and whatnot, and he trained Taylor Swift. He was her trainer at one time. I don't know if he still is or not because they divorced, and I don't even see my friend no more. I don't know that building. But she was telling me that Swift was kind of like a very teenage-like mindset. 30 years old and acting like she's about 15. And now she's in her mid-30s. I want to say she's about 35. Her and him about the same age, per se. And my thing about it is, I want to say she homeschooled pretty early in her. I don't think she ever went to prom, if I'm not mistaken. Bullied a lot in school. Moved here, I want to say 16, 17 here in the Nashville, Middle Tennessee area. Pursue a songwriting career and whatnot. Write her own songs. A lot of respect for that. But that kind of hinged her development as wanting to get into relationships and whatnot. And I know she's had a few relationships and had some music, wrote about it. That's what made her famous, about her exes and whatnot. But I don't think she's a woman that's really been into a serious relationship that much. And this is my opinion, judging by what my friend told me, per se. So I'm saying all this is she may be reluctant to show a lot of public display affection with him, per se, if that makes any sense. So that makes a lot of us on the outside looking in, let's say, this looks fake. She don't need the money, but people that are successful like her, it's always an opportunity to grow as far as growing the audience. I know because the people saying and I was a little skeptical myself. They're getting together to both grow their brands per se, you know. But the more I look at it, I think, biological clock. She wants a family. I want to say she's 35. Let me get her exact age. I want to say she's 35. By the way, net worth $1.6 billion. She's 35 years old. She will be 36 December 13th. So she's pretty close on this biological clock thing. I'm sure it's going to be a spectacle, this wedding per se. But I do think that that there really is some type of love connection there. Okay. After looking at it for the review, Kels, there's a documentary on him. I want to say it's on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken, with him and his brother. Made a lot of mistakes in college, almost got kicked out of college, got on his feet, University of Cincinnati, kind of a party animal, wanting to settle down. You got a sense that they both kind of want to settle down at this point in their careers. I got a feeling this thing may work out. I got a feeling it may work out. Could be a total disaster. Could be totally off on here. But we'll figure this out, I think it's pretty cool. I know it's broke the internet. I got to have an opinion on it. Since I was talking about Rashid Rice, Kansas City, AFC West, go ahead and get the Taylor Swift thing and Travis Kelce thing out of the way. Get it out of the way. And get that opinion said and move on to the next topic here. All right. Okay, so back to football. Deion Sanders. They named their starting quarterback this week. He's back coaching. With Colorado, had his big giant cowboy hat on the other day, and somebody asked him, one of the reporters asked him about Shiloh, by the way, over the weekend. Remember, I think he was an undrafted free agent, picked up by Tampa Bay Buccaneers, got into a little bit of a scuffle there, swinging out a player for the Buffalo Bills there. There were some reports he's doing great in practice. He's doing great. And I notice reporters never say when he's not doing good. But either way, he was cut over the weekend by the Tampa Bay Bucs. Shedeur Sanders had awful game. Shedeur with Cleveland, 5 sacks, took like a 24 yard loss there and was pulled towards the end of the game. He came in after Dillon Gabriel. Gabriel played really well, came in after Gabriel. Now, maybe that oblique is still bothering him. I don't know, but he did not look good. He reverted back to, and it's a funny thing because I saw this at Colorado with Shedeur Sanders. You say, well, what are you talking about? He'll have a game like that first game he played against TCU last year, or year before last when they had the big upset. He's getting rid of the ball quickly, making decisive decisions. A few games later, it's like he loses his patience for wanting to get rid of the ball quickly and playing like that. He loses his discipline, so he backs up, tries to make a big play. A lot like Tony Romo, former Dallas Cowboy. And I said that was my biggest criticism of Romo, that and him being greedy and wanting to pad his stats, he later admitted, but that's a different story. But Shedeur running backwards, trying to make that big play by time, especially when the defense is spread out and they know you got to throw it, throw a lot of interceptions, take a lot of big losses. In NFL, he don't have Lamar Jackson type of speed. He cannot do that, and it looked horrible. Okay, so all that come into play, And now, of course, they moved off Kenny Pickett. I mentioned he's with the Raiders now. And so now he's third on the depth chart. But Dillon Gabriel, who was drafted third, remember, he was drafted 2 rounds ahead, the former Oregon Duck there, and Gabriel's kind of bounced around. I think he also played with Oklahoma, is a second stream. Of course, Joe Flacco is going to be the week 1 starter there against Cincinnati coming up next week on the Cincinnati. So he has made the team per se. I'm sure he would like to have been the backup. I still got faith in the guy, but he's got to clean that up. He's got to address that, clean that up. This all may work out as a blessing in disguise for the guy. He can get fully healthy. And at some point, Flacco is going to look like Flacco. And if Gabriel goes in there and screws things up, then he'll be able to come back in there and play well. And, of course, Deshaun Watson's still on edge of reserve. He's not going to be off that the first 4 games. He might not even come into play until mid-October if he comes into play at all. Remember, he's coming off an Achilles injury. He might not play this season. So I'll say all that to play a little bit of Deion Sanders. I wanted to download it, but I just didn't have enough time, folks. But here he is, Deion Sanders at the podium talking about the Sanders football and his son getting cut, whatnot. It's pretty good. Listen up.
NFL is a tough business. Charlotte had, some bad. It's just have you talked to him? How are
most definitely. He's my son. I'm proud of my kids, all of them, and I prepare my kids for any and everything that could possibly happen in life and in sports. This part of fathering, this part of parenting, this part of having a relationship. So he is mentally where he needs to be, physically where he needs to be. We're praying that he gets another opportunity to go with a team. But if he doesn't, the plans have already been put forward to what he's going to do next. So Shiloh's a man of many talents. I don't know if you guys know he's a man of many talents, and he's going to be straight. All the Sanders are going to be straight, with or without football. You better believe that. You better believe that. I take care of mine. I've always have, and y'all know what I mean. You better believe that.
Okay. I always know that noise. That means that's the end of the sound bite. Yeah, I think it's a fascinating story of fatherhood with Deion there. You never hear Deion. I go back to the guys back when he was in college and first coming out in the NFL. I've never heard the guy talk about his dad. I don't know if his dad went around or something happened. Did get a chance to research that. He talks about his mom. He used to lie about his mom being a nurse. Really, she was a janitor, like a nursing home per se. And I never understood where he got that level of confidence. But he's got a supreme level of confidence at a young age. And he said, well, he got this great athletic ability, blah, blah, blah. That's something I need to research for future shows. And he'd be the guy I'd like to interview, maybe one day when the show gets really big, I'll be able to interview people. I don't like to really ask people for interviews here. I had a recent incident, and I may talk about it later, where one of my former guests on the show, I've asked to come back, and she totally just hung up on me, said I had the wrong number, even though I knew it was her voice. Very hurtful, but it's okay. It's okay. It's one of the reasons why that I do not like to ask people to interview, not unless they ask me to come on. That's different, but I just don't like to solicit a lot of interviews, not unless I really know the person, because when they say no and they tick me off, it really, really ticks me off. And I do not want this show to be based on that. But that being said, about Deion per se, is I like that father-son moment. It's just a great storyline to follow. I know his sons have had some issues here. I think they both seem a little immature. Shiloh with the big fight. Shedeur following the Shedor's already had 2 speeding tickets within a week in the offseason. That don't look good for any pro. You're a big-time public figure. He should know better than that. And then they confronted the reporter, even though it was kind of a friendly, playful type of thing. It shows a lot of immaturity, having your brother into the locker room and filming all that. That's not NFL quarterback type of stuff. That's not what the successful quarterbacks do. They don't play little kid games like that. Your NFL, you got to take it serious, be a pro. Anything outside of that facility, do whatever. But remember, you are under a microscope. You're an NFL quarterback. You're like the CEO. It's not like everybody else. Defensive end, cornerback, no big deal. Even a wide receiver, no big deal. But quarterback, more is expected. That's why they get paid the big bucks, right? A lot of that's leadership, too. You don't see Jalen Hurts doing stupid stuff like that, for the reigning Super Bowl MVP. That being said, I like this storyline, with Sanders. Shiloh, maybe he does get picked up. He's a pretty good hitter. Somebody may pick him up. He may, then again, they may bring it back to the practice squad after he passed through all these waivers or something. Somebody gets injured, bring him on and whatnot. And Shedeur is still a Cleveland Brown. I still got a little bit of a inkling that maybe he plays this year and maybe he wins that starting job for good. But he's got to grow up quick. Let's see how it works out with Gabriel. But the fact is, the guy's a 5th-round pick. And then people say, well, there was a sabotage. I've talked to a lady, I think it was Patrice. Is that your name, Miss Patrice? My Uber rider on Monday. Today's Wednesday, right? My Uber rider on Monday. Was it Monday or was it yesterday? No, what was Monday? She's subscribed to the Sports Scope and lives down in Laverne area. My friend, if you're seeing me, hello. She subscribed to the channel, and she was saying that she heard something about what the offensive line. They put a bad line in there blocking for them, and there's some advanced analytics. I want to say Pro Football Focus said that the guy had 4 or 5 seconds to throw, and he was making bad decisions. That's just a bad habit that Shedeur's been in. I said it before he played the game. I said he's got a habit of running backwards too much, trying to make a big play. He did that in college. That was a big knock on him. That seems like something you can correct. Always step into the pocket, don't step away from the pocket. Some guys can get away, these super fat Michael Vick, even though Michael Vick got away from that pretty much. He did it some, but he wasn't in the habit of doing it all the time. Johnny Manziel, who, Lamar Jackson's a super, super freakish athlete. And, but anyways, it's something he needs to work out. I do like that storyline, and I like the fact that Deion is still coaching at Colorado. As a guarantee, almost guaranteed that he's going to leave Colorado, and he did not. He's still there. I don't know how much longer. I know he's had bladder cancer. He's had like a toe amputated or whatnot. From diabetes. It's not been the best bill of health for Deion, but guy's got a good attitude. He's a spiritual guy. I believe him when he says he's a spiritual guy. And it's going to be interesting to see how this thing plays out with his sons, and, of course, him at Colorado. So tomorrow, folks, I'll have the Mad New Yorker on. I'll ask him about his opinion on some of these storylines here. I guess the big one will be the Travis Kelce thing and whatnot. By the way, Terry McLaurin signed an extension. He is in. I probably would have went 2 years instead of 3. I'm sure Jalen Daniels is very excited about bringing Terry McLaurin in. But when's he going to be up to game shape, And then Brian Robertson was picked. He was released and I think he was traded or whatever. But either way, he's a 49er now. Brian Robertson, running back, he's a 49er. Terry McLaurin signed, but signed very late. I think they're still going to be a very good team. But the Commanders, I don't think they're going to be an NFC championship team. I do think that Daniels may take a slight step back this year. So just not so sure about this year's Commanders team, folks. So that's something, by the way, as I go along between now and next week, I'm hoping to have, and I'll probably record some of these shows, maybe one on Sunday, all my divisions in, playoff picks. Of course, Kansas City's in, likely Denver and LA's in. So that's 2 from the West, 3 teams from the West. I've done that before and nailed that before too, by the way. I want to say I picked the NFC West one time. They had 3 teams in, San Francisco, LA, and Seattle, and I was right. So anyways, I'm going to get that to make those predictions in between. So watch out. Do not assume just because it's a Monday or Tuesday that it's going to be replayed. It may be recorded, but new material. So, folks, if you'd like the show, share the show. I'm getting back on my feet slowly but surely. I'm getting settled into my new facility here slowly but surely. And it's good to get back on air. And looks like we have good sound and everything. I just want to wish everybody a good night. And again, please, if you like the show, please share the show. We got to build this thing up, okay? Have a good night, everybody. I will see you tomorrow with the Mad New Yorker. Same time, same place here on the Real Sports Go. Thank you, everybody.